What you are doing here at the Titusville Opportunity Park will definitely help you grow the economy of this community. And you already have great local business advocates from the park, including Alternamats and Roser Technologies, who are helping to move your local economy forward. And we toured both of their facilities just now. Very, very impressive. Today marks another chapter in your book of progress. So on behalf of Governor Corbett, I am proud to announce the award of a $1.25 million Pennsylvania First Grant to the Titusville Redevelopment Authority, our RDA, to breathe new life into the Titusville Opportunity Park. The PA First funds will help you redevelop 6 buildings at the park, bringing new opportunity, including potentially adding 80 new jobs, in addition to the estimated 250 that are currently working here. And I believe that once you build it, this park will flourish, as we're already seeing signs of that.
Secretary Walker visiting Titusville yesterday and delivering a pretty large check. And to join us here and talk about that is Jim Becker from the Titusville Community Development Agency. Jim, good morning and congratulations.
Morning. It was a pretty good day.
It was a very good day. You know, he made a comment there about breathing new life down there, but the fact is there's been a lot of life down there, and this is just going to increase it even more. Tell us about this grant, what it means, what it's going to be used for, and maybe set up the backstory of how it came about.
Well, this grant in particular is going to, we have one section of buildings that is a cluster left down in right at the base of Caldwell Street south. There's 6 buildings based on crane rails and existing sizes of the buildings. There you go. It is blatantly in a blighted condition. We've spent a lot of time over the past years renovating as we have tenants, and truly not doing a lot of the speculative renovations and putting money and time in place without having some basis of keeping the park going if economic downturn happens to come around again. There you see the rendition from our architects, Stifler McGraw, of what that space that you just saw is going to be, the face of it will look like. The spaces range from 9,500 square feet to 22,000 square feet. Crane rail capacities from 5 ton to 20 ton. So once this is completed, we're going to have a nice mix of available light manufacturing with a little bit of heavy manufacturing, if you consider 20 ton a heavy capacity. When you combine that with our office space at Town Square, you combine that with the laydown areas available as well for certain types of industries, you combine that with our short line rail being in place, it positions us very well to be out there representing the community and putting total packages together for business recruitment.
What are you guys doing right? What's the success here? I mean, I don't mean to sound so stupid about this, but to be awarded that amount and for Secretary Walker to be in this community twice in the past year and a half, that's pretty impressive.
Well, we come up with some pretty decent ideas, I think. The groundwork,
but they're solid ideas.
Based in solid projections with private sector partners that are committed to the project. The Grand Valley project beside the football field, we had an anchor tenant. That's what allowed us to do the project. Where Grand Valley saw the structural capacity of the biggest buildings down there beside the football field, and committed to a period of time, funds to be included in the project, creating additional workforce, and then we were able to use their commitment to go to the state and create a multi-tenant facility down there and get grant money and a low-interest loan package to be able to complete that section. In this case, we're looking at RTI and Alternamats have both committed to some space within that 6 building section there for the help with the creation of the multi-tenant approach. And then that's what allowed us to be competitive with this grant application to get it awarded. Now that also allows us with 4 additional spaces now because of the multi-tenant approach that helps the community market additional space for not only local expansion but for companies that exist here locally, but also companies outside of the area.
Here's what Secretary Walker has to say about this community.
As I travel around the state, I see that the communities that do good strategic thinking and have some good entrepreneurs and can pull together with a good short-range and long-range strategy, they are the communities that are doing the best, and I've seen plenty of examples of that here in Titusville. I think Titusville has a very bright future.
Excellent. Jim, the background, you can see the buildings down there, and they all look different. Tell us about what's been going on the past 14 years down there.
Oh, boy. 14 years. Blighted, abandoned, big, ugly, black steel buildings that
Jim, not my house.
Oh, sorry.
Opportunity Park.
The appearance of the 70s steel mills, with the black buildings, the smokestacks, the old steel days. When that company left Titusville, it left an enormous gaping hole in the middle of our community, and not only in the loss of jobs, but lost in the core of our manufacturing sector within this community. We live in a valley. There's only so much space that you can put together for a manufacturing side, and it sat vacant for a period of time. Mike Allen, my predecessor, had a vision for down there of putting it back into active reuse. One of the problems was there was a brownfield site. The brownfield issues on that site had to do mostly with hard metals. It was a steel mill. There was hard metals in the soil.
Right.
Don't let your kids eat the dirt. That's what. So we had some remediation to do down there regarding that. There was a municipal dump site again with city waste, and there was an industrial dump site that had hard metals as well. So we had to do the environmental cleanup down there. We had some wetlands mitigation we had to do. We had to create capped areas, which are out on the southeastern end of the park, that are now capped, clay capped. Specific types of plants are planted there, so the roots don't get too deep and permeate the cap, and provide vegetation for wildlife. But now it's, especially out at that end of the park, you've got the blue heron rookeries, and you get the stories of the bear cubs and deer herds and beaver dams, and what Mother Nature reclaiming her land out there, all within the city limits. So it is really a good story, and DEP loves the story of what's happened over here at the industrial park. We rebuilt the infrastructure because it was one large steel company. And as they, when they needed a building, they just decided to put it up, and then they extended the utilities from the building beside it and just kept working down the line. We created one point of entry into the park, metered, ran new electric to every of the buildings down there that were going to be occupied. We serve as a central point of utilities for both electric and natural gas, and then sub-meter the tenants. That allows us to purchase utilities in a bulk rate. We purchase 7 million kilowatt hours a year.
Wow.
For down in that park. So we're a heavy user, and the mom and pops get the benefits of a large plastic user as far as utility rates go. We had to do stormwater and sewer water separation project. There's been the state and DCD has been actively involved in the site from the beginning. And because we've had private sector partners to be able to go through and renovate building by building in that type of approach, they see it as a phased approach when it's been a successful project. Right now there's 18 companies down there, about 275 employees down there. The secretary's number is slightly low. He had an old number. It's been a very good ongoing project, and the state sees it as a huge success story for rehabbing a site like that. Over the winter, we were approached by, actually in the fall, we were approached by an existing company who wanted to expand. That announcement will be coming later on a separate announcement, that needed additional space, and we didn't have it. We just didn't have that kind of space to be able to provide for them to expand. So we made the decision to build a new building. It's the first time a building has been built down there since the 70s, I think.
Wow.
So that announcement will be coming pretty soon, hopefully within 30 days. But that building is all but complete. A couple months later, we had another existing company in the park say, hey, we like that building there with the crane capacity and the high ceilings. If it fits perfect with our business, and we'll be able to go garner more business within their industry. Signed a contract with them they signed a contract with their new, as a supplier to their new company that they're going to be feeding, and signed a lease with us. And now that big black building that had the burnt end on it that you saw coming in from the east, that building's the exterior is almost completely done already.
Wow.
And we're still working internally with insulation and concrete and electrical runs and stuff like that. But it's been a busy winter. Very busy winter.
It sounds like nothing succeeds like success. When you have a good track record, it's easier to go and ask for help.
It absolutely is. And they come here, and I mean, the secretary wasn't the only one that was here from Harrisburg. Scott Dunkelberger, who is the director of the Center for Public Finance, and his number two, Jared Lucas, were both here. They traveled up from Harrisburg just for the announcement. The governor's action team was here. Allison Schmidt from the department's Northwest region was here. Dave Mitchell, who is the Northwest PA governor's office representative, was here.
I had dinner with him a couple weeks ago.
Dave Mitchell.
Yeah, nice guy, smart guy.
Very smart.
Education background, but understands the needs of what's happening out there today.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk a little bit about that, but
yeah, he's been very engaged. He's been very supportive of our community. We're very fortunate. We have some advocates, at the state level that think we're doing a good thing here. I've been using the phrase of game-changing projects. The football field project was a game changer. You redo that building, and it's a generation in this town has not seen the lights on there, and now that is done for the next 50, 60 years. It puts it in play. Town Square building, the renovation there. Where there was nothing done in the upper stories, now we put those upper stories into active reuse again. That's a game changer for the town.
And people are flowing in and out of those floors.
Oh yeah.
Well, what's important is these are things that people can put their hands on
Absolutely.
and see. And when you can see the progress, I think that makes it, again, success feeds success.
Well, and when we did these two buildings during the winter, we didn't ask the state for help. We built the one, and we renovated the second without state input, and that was part of the application. Yeah, we flat out said we've done these two things on our own, and oh, by the way, we need help again because now we're still getting more requests, and that was part of that was part of it, and I think that was a significant portion of why they made the decision to fund the project.
Well, not to get corny, but was it James Earl Jones? If you build it, they will come, sort of a thing.
It's real tough to sell a blighted property to someone, walk around and go, see these crane rails?
Right. Well, but that, you know what? But that's a good point, because it's hard to say. We live in a world where people need to see that final product. It's hard for people to envision what could be sometimes.
Right.
But it seems like you've done a good job working with companies who share a vision and can look at a space and say, you know what, this could be something great. And you guys saying, let's make it happen. You talk about being very cautious. You don't know what's going to go on with the economy day to day almost, but the businesses who've been down there have been very smart with their planning, and you haven't heard about any major layoffs down there. Everybody's been very cautious about moving forward.
As a community, we're very fortunate with the ownership that we have in place, the entrepreneurial spirit that we have in place with these manufacturers in particular in town. From one end of town to the other. I mean, it's from Armstrong Homerwood to Charter to Oil Creek Plastics, Grand Valley, Alternamats, RTI. I mean, IGI for that. I mean, they really think outside of the box. They're very good at making some long-range predictions on what they think they're going to be able to do within their industry, reading the tea leaves in their industry, and the community is very fortunate because we used to be wood and steel. And when the wood, the steel industry took a hit, the town took a major hit. When the wood industry dropped down, because of low housing starts or something like that, the community took a significant hit. Now we're diversified. You've got a good representation of plastics, wood, steel, oil, precision manufacturing, IT and e-commerce. You've got a nice base that goes across many different industry segments. And when that happens, and we had it with the housing starts that dropped, the wood industry declined, but plastics and steel were still going pretty strong. So it it kind of leveled out those valleys and those troughs that you see in particularly in small communities. So the entrepreneurial spirit here is alive and well, and we're very fortunate to have the people we have.
The
in place.
Secretary alluded to that early in his remarks. He mentioned a couple of, I guess, cliched sayings. One is if you build it, they will come, which certainly seems to be true. But the other one that was more telling was if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And honestly, it looks like TRA has really hit both of those criteria, right in the kisser. Well,
we've been very fortunate. We're getting a lot of community support. Our board is very, very aggressive and very forward-thinking. We get support from our school district. The city manager has been outstanding for us. I mean, we talk 3-4 times a week, and I'm briefing him on things going on. He's letting me know what's going on his end. So there's a lot of open communication, which I'm not sure was. I know it was not as good in the past as it is now between our office and the city, and I think that's something we continue to feed on. We have an open door of communication with the county commissioners, and it seems to be working. And there are bigger regional projects on the table right now as well.
You're not just saying that because Francis is sitting right there.
Oh, hi, Francis. I didn't see you come in. But there's good stuff. That worked out well. There's good things on the table, and I think we have. We're working through a lot of issues, and there's a lot of good things on the plate. And I don't want to, I'm usually the guy that's partly sunny, not, partly cloudy. But it's there are good things happening.
When you take a look at what we have going here, everything going on at Opportunity Park or Town Square, the entrepreneurship, the history, our rec programs, our school district. I mean, we should be the poster child for a perfect community. So what are some of the missing elements?
That's a great question. I honestly think our community is continuing to grow, but it's continuing to try to find itself. There's always that group of people who want to say it's not the way it was, 25 years ago or 20 years ago. And they're probably right. But it's probably not going to go back to the way it was 20, 25 years ago. We are never going to have a company in this town of 6,000 that's employing over 1,000 people. That's just not going to happen. Our community is not well positioned when it comes to site selectors. The entities that are out there helping GE and Siemens and companies like that find new places to go. We're not on a 4-lane interstate. We do not have a deep sea water port. Oil Creek does not qualify. Okay?
Check that off.
Yeah, check that one off. We're a small town that has good backbone with hardworking people, and we rely on entrepreneurs to start businesses here and grow them. There is plenty of opportunity for some of these companies to have moved out of Titusville, and they've chosen not to. They chose to stay here. That speaks volumes to the community in itself. There are good points. I mean, I think our school district having Pitt in place, I think, still having our local hospital here, those are all key points as this community has anchors.
You mentioned schools yesterday. A lot of support from the school district, Superintendent Karen Jez, Assistant Superintendent Terry Kerr, Business Manager Sean Sampson, Athletic Director Jim Cum also serves on your board. Right. But all those folks made it down yesterday to support what was going on in the community. I got to talk to them a little bit afterwards, and certainly there is that understanding that education plays an important role in getting kids ready for their careers and their life. And it was interesting. It was a very frank conversation, especially with Terry Kerr, about the changes going on in education and realizing that all kids aren't meant to go off to college. And when you have an event like this where the secretary comes in and gives you a check for $1.25 million and you're going to develop jobs down there, what's the missing link from education, getting those kids prepped to entering that workforce down there?
training. I mean, and you're seeing a lot of the school district has even made adjustments in the past couple of years where they have you don't have your college career day or college day. Every other year they also bring in businesses, and it becomes a college and career event. So local businesses have tables and booths set up at the high school, helping to inform the kids within the school district of local jobs, what things that may be going on, things that can happen, other options. We're also seeing our school district has been very supportive of the VOTEC program. There is a constant need to continue to get technically trained kids. One of my personal biggest concerns about the shale industry impacts is there's a constant need for welders, constant. And it's not just about an incoming industry. When the shale industry or someone like that approaches a new community that they're moving into, you're going to see, and they've seen in other communities, welders from legacy companies, existing companies in town, move to the new industry because the grass is always greener on the other side, and they may make a little bit more money. But the end goal or the end game here of what happens is your legacy companies lose their trained, certified welders in this case, and then they have to try to backfill those positions. They lose their technically competent people that have been working there for years. How do we fill that void? Just recently, on the past 2 years, the welding program down that our kids go to from Titusville has been full, and we have more kids who want to go do welding, but they can't handle the capacity down at the VOTEC. How do we create more capacity to get those kids in who are interested in the program? We have PMI, Precision Manufacturing, over in Meadville. There are some private sector related schools up in Erie, but building that technical piece is critical to help these companies expand. Doesn't matter if they invest in their company and put in new machines and get additional contracts, and they can't find a person that's technically competent to run that machine, then what good has it done? So yeah, it's a huge piece. Workforce is an enormous piece of what we have going on.
It's going to be very challenging. Mark, obviously we've spent a lot of time discussing the educational aspect of getting kids prepared for life and how things are changing so rapidly today. Technology is changing things. What's going on out there in the workforce is changing things. At the college level, though, there's a lot of discussion on I know there's community leaders going to, say, the University of Pittsburgh at Titusville and having communication with them because they are an important part of this community. Mm-hmm. Are they stepping out and talking to you guys, saying what's going on out there? What kind of program should we be looking at?
Yeah, recently we've been we've been engaged over quite a long period of time. Something that Pitt is looking at right now, they just completed or produced a survey that's going out to job providers, local work centers, asking what kind of training they need. There's actually we have a meeting today up in Town Square. We have an HR group that's put together with local businesses that meet once a month up in Town Square. They are bringing a speaker in from Warren County, North Central Planning Commission, who they've created a program that all of our businesses in Titusville are eligible for, where it's online training capacities on a variety of subjects. I mean, an enormous amount of subjects. HR-related issues that all companies are dealing with, everything from healthcare to consolidation to legacy planning to any gambit. The community, and it's free. So the businesses today are going to be getting, that are at this HR meeting, are going to be getting usernames and passwords to be able to go out and start exploring those opportunities out there. We think that'll help. But getting these people together with work, and they talk workforce issues, it's almost to the point now where it's they're setting the agenda, they're talking to each other when they have questions, which has basically been the long-term goal, was to get them talking. Debbie Eckelberger from our office has done a heck of a job putting that together and keeping it going. And now there's 25 to 30 that show up, once a month, brown bag lunch, and they sit and either have a speaker or they discuss topics that they want to discuss. And if they want a speaker in a specific topic, we'll go out and try to find them and bring them in. But yeah, it's Pitt. That's one way. Pitt has been. They're looking at how to make themselves increasingly relevant in the education world. And you're right; it's blatantly changing. When you look at, what do we have? 25 colleges between Lake Erie and just south of I-80 over here in Northwest PA, and they're all competing for the same kids. So it's a challenge. So you got to find that niche in that education world that you can provide something different at a marketable cost that provides value to the kids. Of why should they come to Pitt Titusville? And they're working on that.
Well, I just hope the lines of communication are open enough so that they're getting an understanding of what the needs are out there. Because when you get $1.25 million and you're going to be hiring 80 people, are they going to have the skills to be able to?
I'll say this jokingly: they're probably tired of hearing from me.
We had Chris Reber, Doc Reber, who is moving on to Community College of Beaver County here at the end of next month. And Chris has worked hard over the last 15 years to create the kind of partnerships that provide the kind of workforce that Titusville desires and some of the other communities here desire. Mm-hmm. And you're right, I think each of these colleges, I didn't realize there were 25 of them, but each of these colleges are working individually different programs to attract these students. Right. Dr. Reber evidently hit the nail on the head, because Venango College has expanded steadily over the last 10 or 15 years. What do you say, at least one new program every year?
Yeah, he's done a great job down there. He really has. And Clarion, Maine has supported him. Mm-hmm. That's a key. when your host parent campus is supporting it, that gives Dr. Reber some more legs and to be able to run with some ideas and run them to fruition and see if they make sense. They're well positioned, and Clarion Venango is, in my opinion, and I think the advisory board here at Pitt Titusville has been engaged here recently. Emil Spradiford, who is the chairman of the advisory board, Dr. Alexander and Dr. Fitz have been. I have to be careful what I say. They have been talking with businesses and business leaders within a couple different industry segments. They've had people here. We've been in meetings here discussing what Pitt Titusville could be able to do and provide, and they've been productive meetings. So they are exploring several options. And trying to work through ways of making Pitt Titusville viable and increasing the student base and offerings, and they are, and it's been a pretty good partnership with Pitt Bradford.
Before we wrap things up, I do want to ask you about softball. You've had a great season, but I do want to just quickly ask what's next after this big announcement.
We've already hired the engineer, which is Stifler McGraw. They took over for Northwest Engineering out of Tiddy Ute. They put together quite a package for design and structural work and things like that. They are already running full speed. We hope to have the bid packages put together within the next 4 to 6 weeks to be bidding out for contractors. I would hope that we could be doing it into construction in the next 3 months in some form. Depending how the numbers come in on the bids. But that'll be working through the late summer into the fall and hopefully not into the winter. But then we'll be pushing forward. There'll be a couple more announcements here on those two buildings, the renovation that we just talked about on the large building 32 and the new building. Those will be coming within the next probably 30 and 60 days. But that's exciting. We'll just keep continuing to chug along.
Well, if you keep bringing cookies like you did yesterday, I'm sure you'll get lots of news coverage.
Sometimes you have to bribe some people.
That's right. That's right. Softball season.
Yes.
Great season.
Thank you. They're playing pretty well. We've been battling the weather, obviously, but it's typically we try to get 20 games in the season. We're going to be lucky if we get 15. We won the region title last week. We're 11-2 after last night, so we're in the playoffs. That starts the 22nd of May. If we win, we play the 20th, Tuesday the 20th. If we win, we play the 22nd. If we win there, we play Memorial Day at the District 10 Finals. So they're in a good place. I mean, I'm real happy with where their heads are. And sometimes that's a question mark with 14 to 18-year-old girls.
Absolutely. There's a lot to be thinking about this time of year.
Yeah, getting through prom weekend is enormous for us. I hate the prom. And I tell them that. If you show up the day, game or practice the day before the prom with your fingernails already done, we got problems.
Wow.
So, no, they're a great group of kids. They really are. We got great senior leadership, and they're steering the ship. And this is one of those cases where you almost stay out of the way. You kind of kick them one way or the other, keep them kind of going in the same direction, but they're doing a very nice job.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And congratulations on yesterday. Look forward to having you back and talking more about it. We'll be following you with softball here in the next couple of days. So
good. Great. Look forward to seeing you there.
Jim Becker, thank you so much. Speaking of prom, coming up next, the former prom king, because he took to the prom, the Lionsville Cornfield Cutie of the Year a couple years ago. Francis Wiederspan Jr. will join the program when the Morning Drill continues right after this.